So to dive more into this lawsuit, I am joined now by Tim Meyer. He is a trade lawyer and professor of international business law at Duke University. It's good to have you on the show. Thank you.
Oh, happy to be here.
So Costco is seeking a full refund of all duties that as a result of Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs. How strong do you think their case is?
Well, as you mentioned, their case is really going to turn on this a separate case that's already in front of the Supreme Court, a case called Learning Resources v. Trump. The Supreme Court heard argument in that case about a month ago. And the argument, I think most people think, went pretty well for the challengers to the tariffs, the plaintiffs. If the challengers win that suit, and we would expect a decision from the Supreme Court probably sometime early in the new year, if the challengers win in that case, Costco is going to have a very strong case. Basically, what they're going to do is they're just going to point to the Supreme Court's decision in that earlier case and sort of say, look, the Supreme Court has already said these tariffs are unlawful. You should therefore also say they are unlawful. And we're entitled to a refund. And then the case will really be much more about, how much did Costco pay? And are they entitled to a refund? Do they have the appropriate records? And have they done the appropriate administrative steps necessary to claim a refund?
Now, if that previous case does not go the way you're suggesting, does Costco then still have an opportunity or any case to be made, do you think?
So, if the government wins the Supreme Court case, Learning Resources, Costco is going to, I think, have more trouble. I think that the legality of the tariffs is likely to basically be decided one way or the other by that Supreme Court case. It's possible that the Supreme Court would rule for the government in that case, but still leave open individual challenges by companies like Costco. But more than likely, whatever the Supreme Court does in Learning Resources is going to determine the legality of the tariffs.
Okay. And so if that case is determined, if the tariffs are determined to be, I guess, illegal, do you think other major companies are going to follow suit, follow what Costco is doing here and seek damages?
So that's exactly what's going to happen. So Costco is essentially getting in line at the Court of International Trade, where they filed this lawsuit to have their court basically adjudicate their entitlement to a refund. A number of other smaller companies, Costco is, I think, the largest so far to file suit. But what we're likely to see is really a wave of lawsuits seeking billions of dollars in terms of refunds. There is an administrative process through which companies can seek from the government directly a refund if the Supreme Court were to uphold the lower court decisions striking down the tariffs. But I think companies are increasingly uncertain that that administrative process, is going to play out in a timely fashion. There are certain deadlines associated with that process. The first deadline is a 314-day period from the date an import enters the United States. And so I think companies are really going to increasingly be filing lawsuits as we get into the new year to preserve their entitlement to a refund as those deadlines start to pass for the earliest tariffs that were paid under the president's IEEPA orders that were issued early in 2025.
I'm just thinking about all of these businesses that have been paying these tariffs and now, as you point out, doing the proper paperwork to make sure they're at the ready, I guess, in the event of this decision in the early new year, determining whether or not the tariffs are actually legal or not. I mean, what do you make of the argument that Donald Trump has made, citing international emergency economic powers when he went and imposed the global tariffs?
Yeah, so that's the issue. Costco has presented that issue in the case, although, again, that's really the issue in Learning Resources. And Learning Resources the Supreme Court in the Learning Resources case is going to decide that question. Honestly, the president's argument is really sort of unprecedented. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which we call IEEPA, does not use the word tariff. It does not speak of tax. Tariffs are just taxes. It doesn't say anything about taxes or duties. And so it's really unlikely that Congress, our U.S. Congress, intended to delegate the power to impose tariffs when they passed IEEPA in 1977. No president since 1977 has ever claimed the authority to impose tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, and presidents regularly use that law for lots of different kinds of things, particularly things like economic sanctions against countries like Russia, for instance. So the fact that no reference is made in the law to tariffs, and the fact that no president has ever claimed this authority just makes it really unlikely, I think, that Congress intended to give the president the power under this law to do what President Trump has done here.
Tim Meyer, trade lawyer and professor of international business law at Duke University. Thank you so much for that.
Yep, thank you.